Following the destruction of the Shadow Palace, the Magic Knights and Enlightened Elves overlooked the royal capital, looking at the destruction that was raging on. To return the Magic Knights to normal, Sisgoleon stated that they should knock them all out. Since that option was not used, with them instead using William's World Tree magic, how many elves would they have had to defeat if they had used Sisgoleon's tactic? To calculate this, we first need to know roughly how many elves there actually were. In the flashback episode of 102, they show the corpses of the elves killed by the royals, and by simply counting them, we get the magic number of 92, which we can use as the number of elves that were reincarnated possessing Magic Knights during this incident. So now that we know how many Magic Knights were possessed, we need to remove the ones that we did not need to be knocked out. To do this, we can eliminate the elves that were already exorcised, the ones that were already unconscious, and the ones that were already pacified. Firstly, we see that Asta undoes the reincarnation of 10 elves, them being Yuno, Digitalis, Locke, the 3 elves in Hakaro, Gaunt and Marie, Dorothy Unsworth, and David Swallow. Now for the more difficult part of trying to find out how many elves were still reincarnated but had already been defeated. Firstly, covering the ones which we saw happen go on screen, going chronologically again, Max and Old Man Owen, the unnamed elf defeated by Gildero, Vice Captain Randall, the 4 members of the Golden Dawn outside the castle, the member of the Golden Dawn inside the Silver Residence, Kivin, the 6 members of the Golden Dawn that went to her assistance once she was defeated, Longrius, Klaus, Hammond, and the other 6 members of the Royal Knights that were possessed, the 2 members of the Golden Dawn defeated by Fugolon, Kaiser, who he also defeated, Veto, who was defeated by his sister, then the 7 members of the Golden Dawn we see defeated by Yuno and the Black Bulls, and finally Ron and Rill were defeated, thus making it 38 that were unconscious that we know of due to it appearing on screen. Secondly, covering the off-screen defeats, we know that Yuno eliminated at least 1 elf when he and Asta split to defeat the elves terrorising the nearby towns near Hague. We also know that Zora defeated an elf to save the attendant, as he mentions that he saved her, and lastly we know that Yuno defeated a group of elves that Pouchy sent to get him, and estimated that it would be a minimum of 3 elves, given that if it was less, Pouchy would have simply just named the elves involved, rather than calling them Addo's group, thus making it 5 elves we know that were defeated off-screen in total. And lastly, we need to count the elves that had already been pacified without the need to be knocked out, which includes Pouchy, Charla, Lisht, Rhea and Fanna, giving us another 5 that did not need to be knocked out. That means in conclusion, out of the 92 elves that were seen dead in the flashback, 10 had already been eliminated, 43 were guaranteed unconscious, and 5 more were pacified. Thus, the max amount of elves that they needed to knock out was 34, and that is if the Magic Knights had not eliminated any more elves during the events of the Shadow Palace, and the minimum number of elves that they needed to defeat was 19, given how many fighting elves we saw being exercised. That means that, although it would have taken a long time, it was perfectly possible that Sisgoleon and the Magic Knights could have pacified the remaining elves without the magic tree. It would have just taken a lot longer to do.